BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of your Kundalini Awakening radio, BlogTalk radio channel. My name is Chrism, and I'm your host, along with your co-host, Amelia Centauro, who will be coming on in a short time. I'd like to welcome everybody here. Hello, Michelle, and the various people on the chat room, and hello, Joey you're calling in right now. And I'd like to encourage anybody that wants to call in to go ahead and make that call. It's a free call. It's 347-934-0026 if you have any questions about your Kundalini Awakening experiences or symptoms or phenomena. Feel free to call in, 347-934-0026. We'll go ahead and get started. This week has been an interesting week since our last program. Had a student totally blow up, completely blow up. They were doing well, I thought, and they were doing the practices. They were doing their surrender work. They had a mantra. They were doing the mantra. And yet, even with all of these things together, they still kind of just blew apart. And right now, they're facing some fairly serious ego issues, which may be part of the plan. It may be part of the plan. And so something to consider that one other person told me that working directly with me, even via Skype, can be kind of overwhelming. And that because I don't feel my energetic signature the way others do, and so I have to look at that as a possible cause, factor for it. But I think another cause and factor for it really is the level of ignorance, not ignorance, but innocent ignorance, you might say. But first, I'm being reminded to do a sound check. So Atlanta Seeker or Michelle or somebody there, if you could let me know if I'm being heard, or if I am talking to the air as I was last week and had to call in. So if somebody can type out that they're actually hearing me, then that would be very helpful. Looks like Atlanta Seeker's typing. She wins the prize. And she's loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. And so I think a contributing factor really is that when we do this type of work where you're saying the mantra and for like an hour, and you're in certain physical conditions and positions that are allowing a surrendering of the mind, body, psychology, emotion, spirit to occur, then you are indeed opening yourself to a level of incursion into the control of the ego that the ego may not take so well. That ego may begin to just obliterate your serenity, your calm, and force you into levels of fear or discomfort that will, push you out of any kind of a program that you're participating in. I don't care if it's with me or with another organization or another person. And I think it's very important for us to really look at these issues within ourselves, but look at these deep issues of control that we have and that we've had our entire lives that has allowed us to survive and live our life by virtue of the egocentric controls that everybody has within themselves. And And I feel that this person basically got a taste of that, and I don't know that they're gone forever, but I think that they're certainly gone for the moment. They have been kind of going through a process of attempting to burn bridges. But I think that Kundalini will certainly let them back in if that's what they want to do. But it can be very, very, very challenging for people to do this work, even with you that are listening to the voice right now, because the Kundalini, my Kundalini certainly is carried on the voice. And so as you listen to the voice and you allow that to penetrate your energetic equation on a deeper level, you yourself might be feeling a bit of a challenge from the ego, resisting this and resisting the Kundalini that's coming in, and resisting any kind of a control from a Kundalini environment or Kundalini scenario that is pushing the ego out of its control of your life and how you are in your life. This can be, this can really open up into a fragmentation if you look at it. As you deny the Kundalini and it forces itself upon you, it starts taking things out of your life. It starts taking away your security. It starts taking away your finances. It starts taking away your options. And it really will narrow everything down to a very small point of survival. It won't let you starve, but it won't let you do anything else but what it wants you to do, which is typically to surrender and to allow the infusions to take place. And it doesn't matter whether you've received your Kundalini through Shaktipat or in Theogen use or it just came upon you unasked for. The agenda is typically the same, and that is to open yourself more and more and more to its presence within you and its expression through you into the environment. So it's very important for people to understand this. So this person has basically cut themselves off. This person had a Kundalini Shaktipat given to them by another teacher, but they didn't, they wanted to manage it better. They wanted to manage it or organize themselves in a way where they could accept more Kundalini coming in. And they definitely got what they asked for, but they didn't, and even though I told them, when I gave the mantra, I said, look, this is going to open up more channels of Kundalini for you. This is going to open up more of an expression of itself through you. And it's going to be, it's going to offer you some challenges. But having someone tell you that and having that actually happen can be two very different things. And so this is what has occurred, and this has happened this week. And yet, in the wake of that, I've received a lot of downloads, a lot of infusion from my Kundalini on many different levels, many different topics. And, it's because I'm concerned about the person and I want them to do well. And I know that they're really in a fearful place. And it was very interesting because I had them go to a Yogananda ashram as part of their process for that morning, as part of the exercises for that morning. And I don't know if anybody you are familiar with it. It's the Yogananda Gardens down in Encinitas, California. So I had them drive down to the Encinitas Gardens and to walk around the gardens and to meditate in the gardens and to really kind of take in the strong level of serenity that Yogananda left in these areas. I mean, I've taken many students down there over the years, and it's always a blessing to go into that ashram / garden and just walk around. And they ask you to be quiet, and so it's a very serene place to meditate. It's right on the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The beach is about maybe 100, 200 feet below, and it's jutting right out on the cliff, and you got a tremendous view of the Pacific Ocean and the beach below. They call it the Yogi Beach below, and so this person went there, and ostensibly they meditated, and they came down to the beach, and then I didn't hear from them for a few hours, and then boom, they wanted to stop the work immediately, and so we did. But that can, and then, various texts later, I can see their condition is really deteriorating, and they're going through a level of rage and anger and hatred and a lot of outgassing. I think maybe a lot of detoxing, but the kind of detoxing that can really jaundice any kind of a future communication that you might want to have with the person that's been giving you, tremendous amounts of energy. And, it can be really, really, really complicated for a person to have to work through those layers. And I know that there are people listening right now who have had to work through those layers, and I salute you, because it is not the easiest thing to do. And sometimes it does take time. It takes time to look into yourself and to question your ethics, question your reasons for doing such and such a thing, and to look into the areas of toxicity that may need to be released, and to begin to release those areas of toxicity in a conscious level. Things like religious competition is a great one. The Kundalini will come to say, I'll just use Christianity, or any of them, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, it doesn't matter. I mean, they all compete, and the Kundalini can accelerate that and amplify that to such an amazing level of competition, and this is really a red flag for the consciousness of the individual. You're seeing yourself go into this maelstrom of competitions, like my religion's better than your religion. My religion is the one way, it's the only way, and it's the way for everybody, and everybody needs to wake up to that, and not really giving other people the opportunity to express their own religious values in the way that they see as appropriate. This competition of being the right way or the only way, if this comes up into you, that watcher within, the higher mental functioning consciousness that is observing, what we do in our life and how we do what we do in our life, can take a step back and go, hey, this feels like it could be a bit of a Kundalini amplification. It's maybe I better turn the volume down a little bit and see, see what's going on. Let's see. Somebody called in and says, no reply when I said hi. How that works. Well, hello to you, 848459, and everybody who is calling in. I see we have a number of callers now. We have a number of people on the in the chat room as well. So hello to everybody, and hello to those of you that are listening in the archives, the people that are in the future waiting to hear the program. So hello to you as well. And so as we dig deeper within our own consciousness for understanding of how we are, and who we are within the Kundalini, you must understand the amazing levels of amplification that will occur. This person totally blew up, and of course called me all the worst names they could think, and basically, is kind of walking around within a maelstrom of insecurity and fear and negativity right now at this moment, and my heart goes out to them. But I have to trust the Kundalini, just like all of you who have the Kundalini and you've been challenged by it throughout the time that the gift has been within you. You have to surrender to it. You have to trust it, and I am trusting that this person will be able to come out of this negativity and continue their prosperous work, within the challenges that the Kundalini offers all of us. It's not just this person, but all of us we all have the opportunity to be confronted by the Kundalini and to have that confrontation amplified by the Kundalini, and then to meet that amplification head on and try to look at what we're doing and why we're doing it, to make whatever interior corrections we need to make. And this is a really important part of the process, because it opens up your ability to self-correct. To self-correct is to basically go from a canoe to a motorboat, or from jumping rope to flying an airplane. I mean, it really, really, really increases your process, and it really, really increases your understanding and comprehension of what's occurring. And so as you dig deeper, and as even the Kundalini right now, and my voice reaches down into you through your ears and into your brain and into your spine and into your chakras and into the soul, the deep, deep core individual of who you are. As this energy reaches and maybe begins to unlock some of the Granthi knots that are waiting there to be untied. But the ego is tied up, pretty strong knots there in your body. So as we enter into the Granthi knot land, and Granthi is spelled Granthi, and there are 3 Granthi knots within the system. But the main I'm looking at for most people is the torso, from the chin down to the umbilical cord. That Granthi knot is the one that's really blocking most people. And I don't have the Hindu or the Sanskrit names right now at my disposal, but maybe on another program I can isolate those for you. But the Granthi knots are basically they're karma, but they're also the individual ego that are converging within the energetic anatomy and forming levels of blockage. And these are natural, don't get me wrong. These are not things that any kind of bad behavior has created, but the bad behavior has added to it. And so, we are being given an opportunity to initiate levels of self-correction that can really begin to untangle these areas. And sometimes that occurs just by virtue of being in the presence of a Kundalini person. I don't know if any of you have been into like a supermarket or a restaurant, or somewhere where people are kind of seated within your radiance, and you kind of see their level of activity, go into different expressions, shall we say. Some people get really angry. Some people become very calm, and some people are very joyful and have a great level of serenity when they're in it. So yeah, you might want to look at that when you're out and about the next time and see how that is affecting you. Now, self-correction really speeds the evolution of the energetic within you. As you are able to recognize, say, an over-the-top reaction, especially within the emotional body, an over-the-top reaction to any kind of a given stimulus, whether it's from a teacher or whether it's from somebody cutting you off in traffic or stepping ahead of you in line or looking at you funny as you walk down the street, or calling you a name from a car driving by. I mean, whatever it is, look at your response and gauge it for yourself. How calm are you? How are you allowing this to affect your serenity? Okay. Don't let anything come between you and your serenity is one of the good pieces of advice that the Kundalini gives. Your serenity is your treasure. It's a very precious component, and it allows you to see yourself from a very serene and quasi-joyful state, even as you're self-correcting. And it allows that self-correction to go further and further and further, because no longer are you responding from an over-the-top emotional standpoint. Now you're kind of grounded and you're in a good state. You're feeling the grace. You're feeling the glory. You're feeling the love. You're feeling the kindness, the consideration, the compassion, the honesty, the truth of who you are and what you're becoming with the Kundalini. And you could really begin to focus in on these areas of core-based self-correction. So do that and allow yourself to make that evolutionary leap within the Kundalini, in your current time right now. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring my co-host up here. And this really ties into what my co-host has gone through, really, in a very strong way. And hello, Amelia Santara, welcome.
Hi, Chrism. Thank you. Good to be here. Hi, everybody in the chat room and the archives, listening on the phones, on your PCs, wherever. Good to be here.
And we should also say hello to the people on YouTube, because I think some people are recording this and putting it on YouTube. So hello, all you YouTube viewers and listeners. Nice to see that you're being able to participate in this program. With the entity that you have within you, has that not caused you a lot of introspection and self-correction within the core areas of your equation, Santara? Has that not occurred?
Yes, Chrism, it certainly has, very much so. But I would just like to go and speak about what you're talking about there with what had occurred, because I also went through that, and I think that, working with the teacher as closely as and indeed as intensely as I have with you at times, inspiration actually for the entity, that gave me in lots of ways, I suppose, the skills or the ability, because I had done a lot of work with you. You had taught me a lot, like I would have used the crucible of reversal, for example, with my ego. And it's not easy when you're doing mantras and you're doing surrender work, and you're definitely, so much is amplified. So all of that, I think, Chrism, would have helped me greatly when I had the this current entity intrusion, possession, whatever word we would use in it. So yes, it certainly does create huge introspection, but a little bit like what you have described, and I didn't hear all of it because I was on the phones as well. But from what I heard, with an entity, you can also make choices that really are detours, and can cause extreme difficulty in the process. And so, as challenging as it was, and as intense as it was, the journey towards that point in my process was blessed by all the work that I had done as well with you, and with my Kundalini.
So you're saying that I'm an entity primer.
Yay!
I'm honored.
That sounds really bad. Yeah, not at all. But I mean,
well, I think you did. You did go through some of these areas that this person's going through right now. I don't know that you had as serious a blow up. Certainly not to my face. I mean, you were probably cussing me out as you were walking the beaches of Kerry, questioning why on earth would you have ever contacted this individual in the first place, this maniac.
No, Chris, but one of the things, I can understand how that would happen, because for me, that never happened, but it would have happened on lesser degrees, where my ego would have been challenged and amplified with, the conditionings that it would have had. I think the Kundalini forced me into a lot at the beginning of my process, and so I think, Chrism, I think it's easier in inverted commas when you have had some experiences like that before you meet a teacher. I think it is anyway. And one of the things I've come to see about my own process recently and be very thankful for is actually the religious or the upbringing that I had. It had many challenges, but also I was brought up in a belief system that practiced devotion and worship and prayer and actually discipline as well. And I had to get over a lot of the dogmas and stuff like that, but I think that helped me as well in my process with regard to working with the teacher, working with the Kundalini within the teacher, and what it was that the Kundalini gave for me to do, because it was very clear to me there was no option, with regard to the teacher she had given for me. And so when I had those, which haven't been active recently, but was extremely intense some months back, when I had that intrusion, and that really it was more of a possession. I've had intrusions before. It really was, again, I'm going to say to you, it really was all the things that I had been helped with in my process that far that assisted me in being able to do the introspection work and do the ego work. That was being forced upon me, There were times and I wanted to crack up and just run away, but it's one of those situations that you can't really run from, I couldn't because there was no way of leaving, because the entity is with you all the time. So the choice really is how to respond to what's happening. You don't get to run away from it. It's just not an option.
No, you really don't. You don't get that choice to run away from it. But you do get the choice to run into it further, which, the majority of people won't do. But you do get that option. You can really, really go deeper with it. But I mean, it reminds me a little bit of how most people they'll run into it, and then they'll realize they're in way over their head, and they'll try to back out. And I think this is what happened to that individual. Is no matter how many times I warned them about it, no matter how many examples I gave, or the repetitions through the various exercises and sacred mantras that I gave to them, it's very difficult for people to withstand the exposure of the ego and to be able to control it and to surrender to the Kundalini that way. And like this person, I didn't work with them for very long, but, they seemed fine, surface at least for a week and 2 weeks. But when it really started to hit home, that ego responded to this assault on its control over the mind and body and psychology of that person. It really kind of blew up. And, I get people telling me over and over and over that they're ready. Like this person, I'm ready. I'm looking for a teacher, and I've been praying to God for a teacher. And so the teacher shows up, and they're saying stuff like, light me up and give me both barrels. I'm ready. And I never do, because of this type of thing. And because we don't really know ourselves well enough to know what our parameters of resistance are. And most of the time it's because we never need to know. We never need to check. We never need to look inside and say, I must surrender to this or that, or we simply go about our lives that is being run by the ego with all the choices and decisions managed by the ego without really exploring the inner depths of our core consciousness. And then along comes the Kundalini, and everything gets amplified and brought to the surface, and most of it's the stuff that she doesn't want you to have inside, the negativeness, the fears, the issues, the programming, they all come to the surface, and the person's put to work in finding a balance with resolving them, and fear is the most difficult. And this is what that person, I think, really got hooked into, was the fear. And the fear will be used by the ego consciousness in order to frighten a person away from relinquishing its control over the decision-making process, over the choices that are made, over the organizing of one's life. Fear will become a weapon against whatever or whomever is challenging the control that the ego has over that individual. And like in this case, they gave me a text just yesterday. I was pretty, it was a fairly disrespectful, one-sided conversation. I just thanked them for their interest, and I wished them well, and gave them, a blessing, hopefully they can get through this. But, some people will need to abandon the teachings or the teacher in disgust and loathing, because these issues have been brought to the surface, and it can almost be a form of processing, especially if they're not prepared to face them or resolve them. And so really the lesson, I think, to everybody is to go as deep within yourself as you possibly can before any thought of excitation of Kundalini Shakti within you, unless it's already there, it already came to you. And then still, you must go into these deep, deep, deep personal core issues and allow yourself the opportunity to resolve them. If you have revenge against somebody, then you need to resolve it. If you've got, any kind of bigotry or any kind of a mistreatment of other people, we need to look at where that comes from and resolve it, balance it. It's very important for people to understand that they have the power of self-correction. And because you have the power of self-correction, you can change the game. You can totally change the game. And I invite all of you to consider that as you go into your core areas of Kundalini is extracting from, say, that torso Granthi knot. It's extracting from the karma, extracting from the programming that we've had since childhood, extracting these ideas that you got to be first, or you have to be the best at everything, or you have to be right at everything, or you're the man in charge or the woman in charge, and you're the one because you're the boss at work, therefore you're the boss at home. So you have to really look at how you're interacting and what level of serenity you infuse other people with. Often in the Kundalini radiance will be carried not just the divine radiance, but also your emotional state. So, you want to be careful with your emotional state when you're around other people. If you're out even in the environment, you want to be as loving and forgiving and understanding and serene as possible. It is the healthiest way to go with the Kundalini, is serenity. Opens the receptivity of vast levels of information that a Kundalini or not a Kundalini, but an egotism out of control can block the Kundalini bringing that level of information, that level of knowledge to the individual, whereas serenity will invite that level of knowledge into the individual. So it's very, very important for people to self-correct, but also to understand that when they blow apart like this, that, not all is lost. I mean, you just do your self corrections. You make amends to whatever individual has been targeted for your wrath, the wrath du jour, and you allow yourself to move forward. You don't stay stuck in negativity. The wrath du jour. Now I see Indra has a question, so I'm going to go over here to Indra here and welcome her to the program. Hello, Indra. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Better. Yeah, so I was listening to the program, and the ego does run riot, eh?
Well, especially with you. Now you did this practice, and I'm just going to remind the listeners.
Yes.
Indra mentioned on one of the groups this week. Actually, I think it was like over the weekend, wasn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, she mentioned that she had levels of Kundalini, coming through her skin, and you tell us what was happening, Indra.
Well, it came through my feet. You mean with the earth?
All of it.
Okay.
All the symptoms you had before you went into the backyard.
Well, I had a bump. I had my third eye was spinning, but it was pressing against my forehead. It was pressing. I had pressure. I had a migraine. I was nauseous. I was spinning. I was going crazy. I was drunk.
And you weren't pregnant, right? You weren't pregnant.
No. No, not at all. So yeah. And the whole experience was it was horrible. I had horrible symptoms, and even when my throat chakra was opening, I had sent you a picture. I was pretty bruised, so I had symptoms. The symptoms manifested outward, and no relief. I was going crazy. I was home alone. I didn't know what to do, and I did that exercise where I lie naked on the earth. And an hour after I did it, the pressure left. And the very next morning, the bump was gone. Felt amazing the next day.
Yeah,
really.
And you did the taboo thing, Indra. You went naked outside.
Yes.
In full public view, sort of.
Yes. But I was tempted.
I'm sure that was involved as well.
That was involved, and you know what, though? I was tempted many times to get up because I don't know, it's unknown territory for the ego, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was tempted to get up many times, and I go, no, I'm not. I'm not going to get up. I'm going to follow through with this because there was a liberating feeling that came with it.
Sure.
And I stayed. I stayed for an hour.
So now, were you
Chrism,
were you covered, or were you inside a tent, or were you just out in the open?
I spread a blanket on the ground, and I was out in the open. It was pitch black.
Oh my!
The neighbors were asleep, and I had privacy. I had the utmost privacy.
Have you checked?
So I was naked.
Have you checked on YouTube lately?
No, nobody saw me. They couldn't.
That's good. Yeah, that is the way to go. That is the way to go.
Yes.
And I found myself doing the exact same thing. I didn't know why at the time, but it was a little easier for me because the neighbors weren't so close, and I was kind of out in the country, and I could just like you did, just like spread a blanket down or just lay on the bare earth and completely unclothed and just really, really feel the energy settle and balance itself. When you lay the chakra system down. Oh yeah, it can be very, very, very helpful. And I strongly urge people that are feeling levels of imbalance of the nature that Indra described, and some of the other areas too. Even this person I was describing in the monologue at the beginning of the program, that person should be laying down on the ground, clothed, in a private area where nobody can view them, and allow the energy to really begin to get balanced through the application of the Shakti earth energy into each of the chakras. So, well, I would like to thank you for following that advice, Indra.
Yes.
I think you did very well with it. Did you have a question as well?
I have a question as well, but regarding that exercise that weekend, when the energy came through my feet, there was a swinging. There was a definite, distinct swing. The energy came to me, and then I could feel it going out into the universe, and then it comes back to me, and it was going back and forth. And that's the thing I noticed the most.
Well, I think it's great. I think you were getting it both. You were getting the sacred masculine energy from the cosmos, and you were getting the sacred feminine energy from the earth. And
wow.
Yeah, you were getting a real marriage, so to speak. And
right.
And
yeah,
you
and I
very
bet
well
you if.
and the fact
Thank you.
Because I remember my instructions for you were to go into a tent, because I'm always conscious, especially
right.
especially with women. You know, I'm always conscious of the the level of risk, involved.
No, I was 100% safe, and my vision is too blurry to set up the tent, but I knew I was 100% safe. I have one side yard that's very, very private, and it was impossible really for anybody to see me, so I knew I was safe.
Good. Yeah, because it's a very vulnerable position, and you get people that have some sort of a weird ego agenda, and they'll call the cops on you, and they'll come back there and look at you and say, "Oh, what are you doing?" That type of thing.
Yeah.
And it can be very disturbing. Well, I'm glad it didn't turn out that way for you. I'm very, very happy that you had such a strong level of success with that, Indra. Nicely done.
Yes.
Nicely done.
I would do it again. I would. I bet you if hospitals.
I would suggest you do it at least 2 nights or 3 nights a week, if you can get away with it.
Yes, I can. I'm safe.
Especially when it's snowing. Because I know you live in Toronto.
Yes, and then I'm going to need that tent for sure.
I want you to see the snow melt in your radiance before it even hits you. You'll turn it to rain. You know what?
And I really can't wait, because I usually I go back to work. I'm off in the summer, so I go back to work in September when the school year starts, and I dread that time of the year, fall. And you know what? It's the first time in my life I'm looking forward to that. The colors, it getting cold, all that, all of it.
Yeah. That beauty is also amplified by the Kunalini too, and I love the fall colors. You're lucky because you're out there towards the east, and the east, is just amazingly beautiful during the fall. Really beautiful, gorgeous country there. I suggest you did that 2 or 3 times a week if you can get away with it, and really be conscious of. Now, I don't really suggest that you walk around or anything. I mean, although I did, I have to say I would take these little. I would find these little state parks or national park areas where I knew, because I scoped it out in advance. I knew nobody really would go into these areas, and so I would go into these areas unclothed and just really feel the oneness with the nature. It's different. It's different when you're doing that in a forest and say, just swimming in the ocean that way or something. There's a different quality to it. Swimming in the ocean is fine too. But when you're in the forest or you're in a jungle, it's very, 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 this is the environment that your body is created for, so to speak. You're not a fish. And so, and you're not a mammal that lives in the ocean, but you're a land-dwelling creature, based on on a hominid pattern, and it's very different. Very, very different.
Yes.
When I was
and see, my backyard is overlooking a creek. It's overlooking a creek. And honestly, I look in there and I go, I would like to do that exercise in there. but I'll be scared of
winter.
Pardon me?
In the middle of winter.
Pardon me?
When it's snow.
Yes,
I expect to see naked snow angel pictures from you.
I'll send you the raccoon instead.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you. Oh, did you have a question? I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Yes, quickly. Okay, so I'm drunk, and I'm drunk with my eyes open. Beautiful. I'm not having the pressure. I'm not having the horrible symptoms anymore. I don't have an appetite, but I'm having this, this drunken feeling. What does it have to do with DMT? I did some research, and there's not a lot of information out there, but what has it got to do with DMT? And does the
EMP, electromagnetic, how are you using EMP?
Say that again, Chrism.
What is the acronym EMP pertaining to?
I know it's a chemical. It's a long name.
DMT.
DMT. Oh.
DMT. DMT.
Dog,
So
Mary, Tom.
Dog. Yeah.
Oh,
the chemical
DMT,
that the pineal gland, the pineal gland produces.
Oh, I see. Dimethyltryptamine. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What does it have to do with that? Well, dimethyltryptamine is, like you say, is produced by the pineal gland, and it is a production of the body that allows you to have visions, that helps the dream state to come into the individual, that is, frankly, is a bit increased with Kundalini activation or awakening. So the dimethyltryptamine is kind of a gateway hormone, really. It's of a hormone quality. And like some people will smoke pure laboratory fabricated dimethyltryptamine, and they're immediately taken into most of the people, I'll say, it's a very common experience, is they'll be taken to a place with that is just covered in blue eyes. Everything is made up of blue eyeballs looking at you. Right. And when I did the ayahuasca ceremony a couple of years ago down there in Peru, during the height of the visionary experience there, I also was taken into the pseudo area of the blue eyes, and a carpet of peacock feathers with the eyes on the end, and things were made out like a small building was made out of the peacock feather eyes, and the various paths going through these beautiful meadows were constructed with peacock feather eyes, and so I can kind of understand what they do is they smoke the DMT. It takes them there. They're not quite sure what they're doing there because they're not quite sure what they're doing at all. They're just kind of going for the high. This is a high thing for them. And it lasts about, I think, 5 minutes. It's I guess it's fun to do. I wouldn't do it myself because of the Kundalini, but I did do the ayahuasca, and that did give an increase in the level of dimethyltryptamine in my system. And I have to say, with the ayahuasca, it was very, very, very beautiful, very, very powerful, very Kundalini. My Kundalini was really talking to me during those 4 experiences with that. With the DMT, artificial DMT, I'm not really suggesting that to anybody because it isn't being produced by the pineal gland. It is being produced in a lab, and I think that has a different connotation to it as well. Now, what did you want to know about DMT?
Well, I just wanted to know what you just broke down, but how long does this last?
Well, how long do your dreams last?
Well, Chrism, I've been dreaming since I was a kid.
Right.
The difference now is
you've got the time.
well, and the difference is now I'll dream like, let's say I dreamt last night. Things will come to pass the next day. My dreams are coming to pass really quick, like really quick.
You're having your precognitive dreams, right? Right.
And do you want? I had a dream last night about your group that I'm going to share with you.
Oh,
nice
okay.
dream. I dreamt. I don't know. I was running from something, but I was in between the American and the Canadian border, right at where Niagara Falls is.
Okay.
And I asked someone. I said I have to report something I saw, but I don't know the address of this place. And somebody said, well, there is no address where you are right now. There's no address. And I looked around and I go, well, how can it not be an address? It was like an unknown place. And I looked at my son. My son was in the dream, and I said, Kundalini Awakening. Our files is safe in that group. And my son turned to me and go, it is safe. It was the only safe place. I don't know what you make of it. I'm still playing with that dream.
The files?
The files, like the posts, the things that we post.
Oh, the posts, okay.
The things that we post is all being recorded, and it's safe.
Well, I think it's safe. I mean, you got to remember that it's a public group, so I don't know how safe public groups are in general.
But do you think it had a spiritual meaning? It's being recorded, but it's safe, meaning it's a clean place.
What it's saying is what's coming to me about that right now is that what you're saying is safe for others to take into themselves. It's safe for you to describe, what you did and what symptoms you had, and then laying naked on the ground, and then all of that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it makes sense.
Safe information. I don't think anybody's going to grab onto that and go running down Main Street, in the nude. And so I think it's safe information for them to have, and I think that you were talking to your son, you're talking to a child, and some of the people that read that group are children. And is it safe? And I think that your son was answering via the Shakti Kundalini in you and letting you know that it was indeed safe.
Right.
We are a G-rated group.
Yes. Okay. So that's a good explanation. So really, how long does this last? I have to go back to work in 10 days, less than.
This isn't going to stop. This will keep going for a while.
Really, Chrism?
It's okay. Yeah,
Chrism, I'm drunk with my eyes open. People can look at me, and I'm not fighting the Kunalini because I know you talk about ego. I've been going through this for 20 years, and I know what Grace could do to me with ego. So even if my ego get out of hand, I always say, Grace, give me a little bit of time to correct that. I talk.
Well, I think once you're in front of you're a teacher, right? You're teaching a class.
I'm an assistant teacher, yes, special eds.
So once they make eye contact with you and they're inside of your radiance, things will go very well.
Okay.
You got to remember.
Okay, I'm trusting.
She knows what you do. She knows what you do, and she knows how you're doing it. She knows the circumstances probably better than we do. And once you're in front of those kids, or you're doing the assistant teaching work, that everything will click, and it'll probably click better and more harmoniously than it has in the past.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Can I ask you a quick question that probably has nothing to do with anything, but it's something I've been experiencing a lot lately.
All right.
When you have the Kundalini, is men with highly sexual energy, not necessarily lust, I'm talking about. Are they attracted to that Kundalini energy? Lust. Lust.
Okay. What about?
because I'm noticing it online and I'm noticing it in person.
Oh, you're
really
noticing a lot more interest.
Go ahead.
Right? Yeah,
From those type of people, yes.
Yeah, the Shakti will really stimulate the reproductive interest in the gender that would be attracted to you. That's a very common thing. They feel the Shakti, and their ego interprets it as sexiness because it has a very life affirming and a very strong energetic that will hit their first and second chakra. And so they'll assume that it's sex appeal that they're feeling, when in fact it's Shakti appeal that they're feeling. But they make the assumption that it's something else. And they want to touch you, they want to look at you, they want to stand next to you, they want to ask you out, they want to have sex with you. I mean, on and on and on.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. And it's so irritating because honest to God.
You just got to be very, very gracious and very, very grateful for the gift of grace that is within you, and to be forgiving of them and tolerant of them, because in a very real way, they do not know what they're doing or why.
Okay, I gotcha. Yes. Okay.
They're coming from a biological standpoint.
But their energy can harm me in any way.
I'm sorry?
Their energy cannot harm me in any way.
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, their energy, the interest. I'm sure that that people will be undressing you as you walk by. That's not going to harm you. Fantasizing, whatever fetish they may have, a foot fetish or a hand fetish or a earlobe fetish, whatever it is, that's not going to hurt you. The only time that it really is going to inflict any kind of a challenge on you is if you participate with them sexually.
No, really. It didn't happen before the Kundalini, and definitely not during Kundalini. You know what I mean?
Good.
It's really not. I'm not looking for trouble.
Right. A person's, like a man's sperm resting inside you. And you have the Kundalini. Well, then you're taking in a lot. First of all, you're creating karma. Number one. Number two, you're bringing and you're leading his life expression in a way inside of your body, and so that will come with entities attached.
Wow.
That's why for you, whenever you make love, now you want to be very, very pure and true in the intention of giving love and receiving love gratefully, making it a purely loving experience and expression and reception.
Right.
You keep it pure. You keep it absolutely about love and appreciation and gratitude. And that is what really clears out a lot of the negativities, including entities that would attach to you in a negative way.
Okay. Good enough.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Indra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, as usual. Thank you. Thank you, Suntara. Bye-bye. I'll listen to the show. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
All right. And yeah. So she had a very interesting experience, over the last few days, and Suntara, you've had similar experiences, have you not?
Yeah, Chrism, as people will know, it's really nice to hear somebody else actually who's doing, something similar. And wasn't it interesting? And when Indra said how her ego wanted to, was prompting her to get up and go away, to just stop it and to leave. Because that was like an assault on its control, wasn't it, to a degree? And so, she self-corrected away from ego's control and forced the ego to stay with I'm going to say the instruction or the suggestion that she followed. So, and that's what happened.
I think Indra is ready for a chode experience. What do you think?
No, leave her do it for a few weeks first. But I mean, Indra, because I know you're still here, I would really encourage you to do it twice a week, at least 3 times if you can. And each time, will be different. There will be different things come from the Kundalini, and there will be different things come from your ego as well, that you will have to be with and self-correct away from giving it its control, really. And I mean, for me, it's trust, Chrism. I think, if I was to say what is the one, yes, absolutely, you have to self-correct, but trust. If the lesson is often trust, because when the ego is pushing and wanting to move you away out of what you're doing to gain back its control, really, trust will always bring you further into surrender. Always.
Yes.
At least it always does for me. So even if I'm not feeling that I want to go forward, or I'm feeling I want to get up and leave, we'll say, in a situation like where Indra was in, choosing to trust, and then you go deeper into surrender. So, yeah, that's key, really.
Yeah, and I also want to second what you're saying about trust. Trust really can send you into greater levels of surrender, and and it's not the easiest thing to come by, but it's definitely worth pursuing. Michelle Ranger, I'm also going to suggest something of a chode-like experience with you, or an experience that Indra has been discussing too. I think that would be very helpful for your process as well. And okay, now have you had an opportunity just to ask any questions?
I have, of course. Yes, I have gathered some Chrism. I'm going over there now. Here we go. Okay, so the first 2 questions are in my inbox, and the first one says, I read this definition of Kundalini the other day, and I would appreciate Chrism's view of it, please. And this is the quote, the biological basis of all forms of spiritual experience, religion, genius, Kundalini is. Sorry, let me do that again. They want your opinion on this. Kundalini is the biological basis of all forms of spiritual experience, religion, genius, and high consciousness. And secondly, it is the evolutionary energy residing in the human body.
This is taken from Gopi Krishna's work, and in conjunction with a medical Dr. Lee Sanella. This is taken from excerpts that they probably found on the web. I wouldn't necessarily agree that it's that the biological is the only source of this. I think that because we are biological beings, and that this is coming through this, and I can see where Dr. Lee Sanella would have said that. So I agree with him there, and I agree that it's the precursive energy towards genius and the savant abilities within a human being, and that it is the definite evolutionary energy of the human being, both male and female, and that within that understanding, I totally agree with them. But they should quote him more properly, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it comes with number 1 and number 2 next to it, so I don't know, Chrism, and it doesn't say where it's from.
That's all right. I recognize the quote.
Okay.
Over.
Thank you. The other question comes from a Kundalini man. It may appear strange, but several years ago in one of my dreams, I was Lord Ram in search of my wife Sita, who was kidnapped by Ravana. I was along with my brother Laxman and my devotee Hanuman. When we reached Sri Lanka, wife of Ravana appeared and questioned me. Why were we trespassing and not taking route from main gate? I fired both Hanuman and Laxman for misleading me. They seemed to be ashamed of their act. What would you interpret about this dream, please?
I would interpret the Kundalini is giving you a message about your energetic expression, about how you're treating sacred feminine in your life, about how you're treating those who are helping you or assisting you in your life. I would suggest that it's using the religious value of the Hindu religion as a form of messaging to you along the lines of your Kundalini equation and how she is wanting you to examine these areas that are coming up in your life, looking for Sita, looking for sacred feminine, looking for your wife. So you can see that as the Shiva in a ignorant form, looking for Shakti, looking for the gifts of the sacred feminine, and how Ravana took her away, and Ravana comes forward and says, "Well, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Blah blah blah." And she is also an aspect of sacred feminine. So it's like Sita and Ravana are the same person, but just two aspects of the same sacred femininity. And they're both, asking a question: is how are you treating sacred feminine in your life? How are you, how are you looking for sacred Shakti or for the Kundalini? And the two assistants, the Hanuman and the other one, they're helping you, but you need to be a lot more forgiving of people that maybe don't help you in the best way. Maybe they only help you in the way that they feel is the best way, and maybe saying an untruth is a way of helping it. So once again, you forgive and you don't fire them permanently. You don't try to inflict harm upon them for helping you. You just make your own choices within that equation. Over.
Thanks, Chrism. So from the groups, can anyone ever understand how much pain we go through? Kundalini amplifies each emotion 100 times or maybe even more. The most intense is the pain of relations, losing everything, and you just watch the pain. You watch this vulnerability. Why is it that Kundalini people fall in love with any soul so easily just to hurt own self?
Well, that's not. I think that's not the most appropriate assumption to make. I don't think that Kundalini, fall in love so that they can be hurt. I don't think that happens to everybody. I think that as we focus on love and as we go into a loving environment with the Kundalini equation expressing through us, we are being given an education on all the different facets of love, at least the different facets of love that we can metabolize in the moment within that space of our lives and that space of our maturity and our evolution into grace. And so if we are being hurt by an individual that is loving us or maybe dumping us or whatever, we need to look at our levels of attachment. How are we attaching ourselves to that person? Are we attaching ourselves to our person just through the pureness of love? The idea that you don't imprison a person with love. You don't allow attachments to chain them to you. You allow the attachments to nourish them and to help them and to orchestrate a beautiful divine interplay of the highest quality within between the two people, and you don't chain them to your heart thinking that they're going to stay and not see anybody else or work with anybody else or have friendships with anybody else. You've got to really trust love. And if you trust love strongly enough, if you're forgiving strongly enough, there is no hurt. Hurt does not occur because you trust and you love and you give that person freedom. You know, that whole idea that if you love them, let them go. And if they come back, well, then it's meant to be. And if they don't come back, well, then it's meant to be. You know, you don't try to force the issue unless force is somehow being called for by the Kunalini. Some people need to be forcefully awakened to the inequities that they're pushing upon you or pushing upon other people. Fathers and children, mothers and children, you know, that type of thing happens a lot. Boyfriends and girlfriends will do that too. You foist your expectations of a specific behavior upon the other person, and whether or not it fits, you're still forcing that on them. Your way is always the better way, you know, in a narcissistic type of environment. And so you want to take that narcissism out of the equation and allow the person to have the freedom to express and be as he or she needs to be, and allow your non-attachment to still come across as a level of love, and to the point where, I mean, you can be so non-attached that, you know, they don't even exist for you as humans anymore. I mean, you know, you kind of, you know, then you're looking at, you know, spending some time in a cave on the side of a mountain just to begin to learn how to appreciate the company of humanity again. And so your non-attachment is a very controlled, purposeful type of thing. You're not attaching to ownership. You're not attaching to curtailing their freedom. You're attaching to your trust, and you're attaching to the quality of the love that you're giving. And you apply the same measures of trust to yourself and freedom to yourself as you're applying to that other person. Over.
Wow, thank you very much, Chrism. Thank you. The next question is about body odor. And this person says, my body odor, under my armpits in particular, has almost ceased completely. I still wear deodorant because I take walks in general. I just sweat a lot. I like to take showers at night before I go to sleep as they relax me. When I was in my 20s and 30s, every morning without fail, I would get armpit funk, which is normal. But now it's not there anymore. Do I miss it? Not really. But I worry that my lymphatic system is not working as it should. Is my lymphatic system not working? Should I see a doctor? How have the states of your armpits been during the awakening process? Thank you.
You don't need to go to a doctor. Don't go to an MD. Don't go to an MD and say, oh, I've got Kundalini. I've got these odd bumps under my arm and my sweat doesn't stink. No, don't do that. Don't do that. It's a waste of your time, waste of your money. And, you know, they may find a way to feed you some sort of medication. It's like, oh, you have the lack of underarm smell syndrome, you know, like restless leg syndrome or any of the other syndromes that they come up with in order to sell drugs. That's perfectly natural what you're describing. The Kundalini will change the endocrine system, and if the endocrine system is changed, the specific levels of bacterial propagation, that is what really causes the smell under the armpits, won't occur. You won't have the same type of person. Even people that are vegetarian or vegan, they don't have a lot of the perspiration smells that the people that eat meat will have, and that also goes with the bowel movements as well. Will also reflect a less of a stench than the bowel movements of those who are carnivorous or omnivorous. And so this is a natural thing. In many cases, like St. Francis of Assisi, St. Teresa of Avila, St. Amelia of Santara, their sweat will smell like flowers. as you walk past them, and they won't be wearing deodorant. Isn't that right, St. Amelia?
Well, it has changed, Chrism, but I do wear. Actually, I was talking to you about that because I need to get deodorant from America. We can't get the one that I like anymore here, the Toms.
You
But
should probably
anyway.
be able to get them on Amazon in the United States. Have them shipped out there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll check. But it has changed, Chrism.
But it
Without a doubt.
definitely changes. Yeah, it changes your sweat. It changes the quality of your sweat. It changes the endocrine system, and it changes the hormones, and therefore the environment in the armpit and in other areas of the body that are not seeing a lot of sunshine or not exposed to the air. That typically will grow specific bacteria, and the bacteria are what will cause the smell to come forward. And as you have the Kundalini, even the bacteria will be changed by virtue of the Kundalini radiance coming off of the skin and infecting their tiny little bodies and removing that level of exudate that would cause the smell to occur. And so the Kundalini in many ways will really clean up a person. When I was homeless, the Kundalini cleaned me up every night. I didn't take a shower for like a year and a half. I didn't bathe for a year and a half. And it's really hard for homeless people to bathe because there's no place to go. You even in the gas stations, doing the marine type of thing isn't really inclusive. I didn't do that. I just, was not in a space to take care of myself in that way. And she stepped right in. I remember, and I've said it on the show before, but I'll say it again. I remember taking a blade, a pocket knife, and skimming my arm with the blade and seeing this golden wax type material come off onto the blade and leaving this patch of bare skin there. And the skin was absolutely healthy. It smelled like cedar. And my friends told me it smelled like cedar. And once again, the bacteria that would collect on the normal unawakened body, meat-eating body, was changed. And the grit and the grime and all of that a person would collect being a homeless person was gone and was replaced by this golden waxy type of material, which I've never been able to categorize, but it was there, and it covered most of the body. So she really, really, really can keep you clean, and she can change the scent that comes off of you due to bacteriological transformation. She can change these things. And it's a great lesson to realize that the radiance that comes off of you has the ability to purify in a very beautiful way the environment that is within your radiance. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about how that helps other people, cleaning up their thoughts, giving them an opportunity to clean up their problems, giving biological transformation, whether they know it or not, from the grace, not from your intention, but from the grace that is pushing its way through you and spreading its light and its beauty and its gift all around you. A very beautiful thing. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Can somebody tell me if seeing a blue light is part of the Kundalini, please?
Say again?
A blue light. Is seeing a blue light part of the Kundalini, please?
Yes, the blue light. Depending on your level of activation or awakening in the senses that you're seeing it, that can also be called the blue pearl. And those blue pearls will float kind of like a brilliant star of blue light, very small, pinpoint diamond blue light, and it will float across your visual field, and they can lodge into the sides and the corners of your eye, and more than one can lodge in there. I think I've got 9 inside my eyes right now. And they provide a level of consciousness that is separate from your consciousness, yet blended with your consciousness. It is a Kundalini trait. It is a Kundalini phenomena, and it opens you up to seeing in very, very different ways, and it's very, very helpful. And it's also an indicator that you are indeed within the Kundalini equation. It's either coming for you, like an activation is coming for you, or you're inside of the activation already, or you're being prepared and you're coming close to that spinal sweep when the chakras open up and the energies of grace sweep up the spine, out the top of your head, and shower down around you with its radiance. Over.
Next question. Why do I wake up with bruises on me at times?
Rough sex. You got to calm down. You got to, stop with the ropes. Stop with the whips. Don't do those things. You got to take care of yourself. Over.
Okay, fair enough. And then question. I watch my vibrating head near and hear increased. Sorry, let me start again. I watch my vibrating head and hear increasing intense sound of cricket while sleeping, trying to wake up but unable to do so. I also watch. I'm unable to move. He, my body and my thought, can also watch around my bed. I see all things as observer, and I am confused.
Say again?
No, please tell me. Oh, do you want me to read it again?
But be more clear with it this time.
Oh, Chrism, okay. Right. I watch my vibrating head and hear increasing intense sound of crickets while sleeping, trying to wake up but unable to do so. The person is confused. They're unable to move.
And they're hearing the crickets, right?
They hear crickets as well.
Sleep paralysis. Yeah, it's sleep paralysis, and it's a precursor to the OBE state. And the fact that they're hearing the crickets indicates a bit of a Kundalini activation that the person may be going through as well. Sometimes the Kundalini activation can really, really jolt a person into the astral traveling areas, just I think to give them a reference point for different states of being a reality and being real and not being fake or imaginary or anything like that. I know that before the activation of this biological form that I have right now, which occurred in when I was 30, I was astral projecting quite a bit, and I was even shown when I was a child by 6 little entities how to leave the body. They were on my bedside, and they were saying, "Well, this is how you lift out, and once you get out, look, you can fly all over the room," and they were flying around with me. We were having a great old time, and this is the astral body. The astral traveling is very, very helpful. It gives a person perspective. It gives a person an understanding that the physical state and the programming that we have around the physical state and the programming we have around the dream state and all of this stuff is not necessarily true. It's written by people that don't astral travel. It's written by people that don't have the Kundalini. And so within the context of astral traveling and the Kundalini, our experiences are far more expansive. Within our knowledge base, we have much more knowledge, real, true knowledge, than science or society can provide. And so, trust that. Now, with the crickets are definitely a Kundalini phenomenon, very common. And the astral travel is typically preceded by sleep paralysis. So you won't be able to move. You won't be able to wake up. And it's okay. If you're safe, all you got to do is relax. And if you're going to sleep, then just let yourself go. Just surrender to it completely. And you will, one or two things will happen. You'll hear the separation stage when the body separates from the physical body, the astral body from the physical body. And that will sound like a gunshot or a thunderous type of sound, and you'll go through that separation state. Or you'll do more what I would do, and she would make me go unconscious for about maybe 10 seconds, and I would go through the separation stage, then I'd wake up floating over my body, and then I'd start walking through the walls or flying through the ceiling or going wherever I wanted to go. And so, those are the typical options that you'll be given. And so this is very good. And this person should feel very safe, very secure. Everything is good. Trust the process. Surrender to the Kundalini and trust the Kundalini. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Are there different higher steps to awaking? I feel like she is drawing me away from those not activated. Does this make sense, Master Chrism?
For a time, I think I'm here. Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can. The pause was longer than normal. I thought you were gone. Okay.
She can draw you away for a time just so you can be amongst your own. But for the most part, we are humans and we're awakened humans, but we're not so different from those sleeping people that are around us all the time. I mean, that which they are, we once were. And so, but for a short time, yeah, to get yourself some reference points and to get yourself into a level of comfort about being with the Kundalini so that you're not all alone with it, she can draw you towards other Kundalini people. But that doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to be. And that can be a temporary thing. And just to give you that level of security, that level of safety, that level of friendship, that level of support. Then she will insert you back into society and hopefully with a different perspective. Over.
Hi, I do meditation on a regular basis. I've read about superconsciousness. It can help to be active the whole day for 3 hours sleep. I know it is very difficult to achieve, but I need some advice or guidance. Tell me if I should do it, and if yes, how. I want to do extra stuff along with my work life.
So she wants me to provide her with extra stuff. Is that it?
Well, I think
that's going to cost her. I'm going to charge her for that.
Yeah, maybe you should. Super consciousness and something about just wanting 3 hours sleep. I'm not too sure, Chrism. I copy the question, but it can help to be active the whole day with only 3 hours sleep, I think. The super consciousness, or SACHID and session end. Another word for super consciousness. I don't know, Chrism.
Okay.
Will we just pass? I'll pass.
Okay.
Okay, let's pass.
Whenever people use super consciousness, it's kind of a red flag word that they don't really have a good idea what they're referring to. They're just doing their best. Go ahead. Go to the next one.
Okay. So I was viewing my ego when I sensed it filling me more like an unwelcome squatter. But I see that in any worldly life, a new accommodation ought to be found. I would like to ask about the breaking the chain of causality. Does not being less affected or more free from the dominance of ego give an unchaining and understanding of life in a way which is liberated from instant karmic consequences?
You were fading out on some of those words. Can you read that again?
Yeah. I was viewing my ego when I sensed it filling me more like an unwelcome squatter. But I see that in any worldly life, a new accommodation ought to be found. I would like to ask about breaking the chain of causality. Not being less affected or more free from the dominance of ego, does it give an unchaining and understanding of life in a way which is liberated from instant karmic consequences?
No, it doesn't. You don't get to break the chain of causality. Your Kundalini can adjust the chain of causality for you, but it's a very egocentric thing to say that oh well, I'm going to break the chain of causality. It's not going to happen that way. Your development can propel you into different levels of causality. Causality is not just one thing. There just like there's levels to enlightenment. Rosemary, I was talking to Rosemary the other day, and she's listening right now. And she says to me, well, isn't enlightenment just enlightenment? I mean, isn't that it? Once you're there, is that it? And I said, no, there are absolute levels to enlightenment. You don't go from 0 to 100% all at once. Levels of enlightenment, especially with the bodies of flesh, take time to adjust. You could really, really hurt yourself, or if you had the ability to go straight in to full-on enlightenment, it could be a very, very painful, if not mortal type of a situation. The flesh body needs to adjust to these levels of enlightenment. Take it from people that have received too much energy. When I have a person in front of me and they're doing devotion and we're doing a lot of Kundalini work, I'm giving them a lot of energy, and they will literally get a headache. And Philip St. Romain described a very similar thing as when, he's a very, very devout Catholic person, and he would pray and pray and pray, and his Kundalini came up, and he would still, he would be going to church on Sundays, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, he's going to Mass all the time, and he'd go down to pray, and pretty soon, he'd get down on his knees to pray, and the hot knives would go right through his fontanelle, straight down his spine. It would be very painful if he tried to pray. When he stopped praying, well, that would not occur. But with enlightenment, it's a very similar thing. If I give you too much energy, you're going to have a splitting headache, a migraine almost. And the only way it will go away is if you stop doing what you're doing. Well, with causality, once again, you'll be shown levels of causality that can be like an evolved level of causality that is not the same as just breaking the chain of causality. But you won't be able to do that yourself. That will be something that the Kundalini grants you or gifts you. Was there a second part to that question?
No, Chrism, I think that's answered it.
Okay.
Okay. Is a dream about bees also symbolic of Kundalini awakening? I dreamed of two bees on a tree trunk or tree branch guarding their nest and the queen, which were inside the tree. I knew intuitively that those two were soldier bees.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, but the bees and the wasps, the vespids in general, are symbolic of Kundalini. Yeah.
Okay, so I am Okay, so while I
Yes.
meditate, I feel a light buzz coming up my spine and other weird things while meditating, and decided to research its meaning. It comes out my Kundalini might awake, so I must know all the ins and outs of this phenomena. Any
All right.
suggestions on where to start and to move forward with my Kundalini?
Well, this person is on Kundalini Awakening exclamation point, and I will suggest that they continue to read that group. There's a lot of information on that group going back a number of years, and I strongly urge anybody that wants to learn more about the Kundalini is to continuously read the posts that go back along the years, because Kundalini is not temporally changed to the present moment. Kundalini is one of the most ancient forms of liberation and freedom from the Maya or the falsehood of the society dogma, basically illusion of societal dogma, and that illusion extends to many different societies, from the Sanskriti society, like 7,000 years ago, to all the way up to our current society. And so you want to really look at how you buy into that dogma to release your addiction to that dogma, and allow yourself to expand beyond the veil, so in a way that is helpful and nutritious to you, by not taking too big of a bite, but just kind of going a little bit here, a little bit there. Your brain and your ego may want to jump forward into faster, more technological or difficult areas of, say, surrender or any of the noble qualities, but just try to get one noble quality down per week, and in an expressive way, and that will help you tremendously, I think. Nobody can really know the ins and outs of the Kundalini. And this person, I think, was a little bit innocent in their expectation that they can read the group and they'll get all the ins and outs that they need to have Kundalini. Well, they got a very, very special surprise coming, because the Kundalini doesn't necessarily reveal herself to people in the way that they can prepare, so completely for her presence within them. So you don't really get to know all the ins and outs. You get to discover the ins and outs that are appropriate to your equation. That's what you get to do. Over.
Thank you. There was a question about, let me see, I'll summarize it. Okay, so we have a physical body and a spiritual body, Chrism, and the question is there a boundary or a border between them?
Well, they're separate bodies, so the boundary of the border is just the change in frequency. So if I'll just make up some frequencies here. So if one body is operating at 25 megahertz and the other body is operating at 125 megahertz, well, that difference within frequency will form a boundary, a vibratory boundary. And it's that frequency that can, within divinity, though, if it's like the Kundalini can actually match, and because it's self-aware, it can match the vibratory frequency of all the levels of frequency that are coming off a human being. And so if that person is at a specific place within their evolution where they need to have a strong level of differentiation between the two frequencies, well, then she'll allow that to occur. If a person is moving beyond that into areas where these frequencies can be blended and harmonized with, well, then she'll also allow that to be the case. Okay.
Thanks, Chrism. So right now, a few minutes ago, before writing this post, obviously, this person met an ex-girlfriend and they just hooked up directly. I remember that I thought of her just a few days ago, and I was wondering what she was doing right now. So we talked and hugged, and we talked a lot. Is this happening from the divine? It was a very awkward moment, but we stayed in the situation. So the person isn't the same person they once were, and they felt it was a blessed moment with love and open arms. So is this coming from the divine, that he had thought about her just previously to that?
This is Frederick, isn't it? Yes. Okay.
I don't write the names down, so I can't remember.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I would say the Kundalini has something to say about that for sure. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, is it divine?
I'd
say yes. I think there's a level of divinity there.
Okay, Chrism, thank you. So I think that's all the questions.
All right. Then I'm
just scrolling. Yep.
I'm going to come on over to Rosemary. Rosemary, do you have announcements you'd like to make?
I do. I've been sitting here holding my breath saying, don't say goodbye yet. Yes, we have a seminar this fall in Mankato. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from the Twin Cities at the American...
The Twin Cities being what?
I'm sorry, yes. The Twin Cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis.
In the great state of Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yes, yes. So, and we welcome your registrations, your presence. We have some people that are coming from out of the state, and we know we'll have people here from our state. And my name again is Rosemary. My address is rosemaryg@usinternet.com, or a phone number if you'd like, 651-329-9615. And if some of you listening here from Minneapolis, St. Paul, Mankato, we are beginning tomorrow a group of sessions about, like we're calling Kundalini conversations, about Kundalini and about the seminar. And we look forward to meeting with small groups of people to share this with them. And we have some other good things we're working on, but it's not ready yet. But you'll be hearing about those.
Oh, good. And your address again and your phone number?
rosemaryg@usinternet.com, and my phone number 651-329-9615. And I was thinking of listening to what you were talking about today, Chrism and Santara, that all of those, for many people, those experiences begin our whole Kundalini journey, and in my case, begins in the seminar. Just a really
I was
good
just
place
going to say that the seminars are a very unique opportunity to participate in this energetic in a very strong and brilliant way. I think Michelle is coming out there from Australia. Is that right, Rosemary?
Yes.
And Michelle, we can also initiate a Chode experience for you, probably the Saturday night of the seminar there. And anybody else who'd be interested in the Chode experience, I won't tell you what it is, but it's challenging. And if you've listened to any of these conversations here on the radio show here, it's been discussed, but it was a while back, wasn't it, Amelia, a while back?
Yes, it's been discussed a few times, yes. It's a while ago, Chrism.
Yeah. So let's not go into it.
No.
Yeah, the opportunity is there with these seminars. I mean, they can be very, very, very. They can be very volatile. I've had some volatility occur at some of the seminars. People pop at the seminar. By popping, I mean they come into a very, very quick round of activation. My hope is that people won't awaken there, because that can be very disorienting. But, sometimes that occurs too. So it's a very, very, very beautiful environment. It's really nice to be around other people that have this level of interest and interaction with the Kundalini. And I will suggest that people come to the seminar, come and to see Rosemary and Joey and Katie and meet me in person. And I'd love to meet you in person as well. And so, Rosemary, give that email and that phone number out once again, please.
RosemaryG@usinternet.com, and my phone number is 952, well, I'm sorry, two of them. I think I said the other one, 651-329-9615.
And that's with the country code 01, the United States country code 01, and some of all that.
Chrism, I have a little testimony from one of our people that I asked. Could I read it to you? It's printed out. So it's been two years now since I attended my Kundalini seminar, and it is one of the best decisions I have made for the betterment of my life. During the seminar, I received the Shaktipat. My life has been improved on many aspects, physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and spiritually. I have gained more confidence in myself and feel more connected to the divine and all its creatures on earth. What I continue to learn is making me a better human being, more loving and more caring, and I am definitely better off today than before. I understand that the process of enlightenment can be very long, but it is an idea that resonates with me, and I am committed to the necessary work to make it happen. Yes. Are you there?
I am here, and I'm just thinking about that.
Oh, sorry, I thought I went over time.
No, I think it's good, and thank you for sharing that. I think that and more can occur for a person.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And what was your experience, Rosemary, when you went to your first seminar?
It was a strong activation, but I didn't know that only gradually that it was happening. And the very first, that would be the very first before the one that I was working on. The very first one, I just went. I had no idea of much how important this was. There were 10 of us there, one gal from California, and then there were 4 of us from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the other 5 were people from Pittsburgh and from Chicago, I think, in that area. And what was very helpful was right away to be connected to the Kundalini awakening systems. That was, I don't think Facebook was up and running yet like it is now, but being connected and hearing, and people that send in the testimonials are from around the world. So I really got the size of this. And I say when I talk about all this and come to the seminar, I say my second wise decision was staying in touch with you. And I just continue to learn and to deepen and strengthen. And one thing that had me ask you to come and do another seminar, and we've had our 5th one now is coming up, so that's really inspiring to me. But the thought was that these gifts, that as the Kundalini is rising up our back, it's bringing those special divine gifts that were intended to have in the Creator's creation. And when I thought about it, I said, well, we're not doing too well here. I mean, we could say it's not happening most of the world, but because of that is when I asked you, would you come back again? And that was 14. And that was the first of the seminars I've been working with, and we're now on number 5. So there is interest here. There's a lot of interest in Mankato, where we're going to do this seminar. But it is very strong in my heart of, just like anyone who has a business or create something, it's like the law of creation is that it reflects you. And so this is the divinity, the God within us, waiting for us in some ways, and sometimes for some people doesn't wait.
Correct.
As we hear.
Yes. Well, thank you, Rosemary. Thank you for distilling that down. Appreciate it. All right, and I'm going to put you in the blue here. And Santara, do you have any announcements?
I do, Chrism. I'd like to give people the address they can go to if they'd like to make a donation. So you can go to www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, or you can also go to the Safeties website, which is simple to remember. It's kundalinisafeties.com. Scroll down to the end of the page and you'll see About Chrism, and at the end of that little brief message, there is a place where you can donate. So if you're in a position to donate and you would like to support the work that is being done in all the venues that Chrism does this work, then please, I'd invite you to make a donation at one of those places. Thanks, Chrism.
Thank you. Thank you, Santara. And I think that about covers it for today. Any last words, Santara?
Well, I suppose I would just like to say trust. That's trust the Kundalini. And if you're blessed to have a teacher, trust the teacher, even when it gets tough and your ego is objecting and it's being going through a hard time. Trust the Kundalini and trust your teacher, and this will bring you into deeper levels of surrender. So thank you very much, Chrism, for today's show. And I'll see everybody again this day next week. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I'd like to say that we have a lot of videos on the YouTube network at Chrism.Kundalini is the name of the channel. We're also on the Yahoo network, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo Groups, and Kundalini Healing at Yahoo Groups. And we're also on the Google Plus network, and that would be Kundalini Awakening ! As well as the Facebook. We have Kundalini Awakening ! Kundalini Awakening Systems 2, Kundalini Awakening Systems 3, Kundalini People. We have 2 Kundalini Healing groups as well, and you can inquire of Santara or myself. You can reach me at Chris Mitchell on the Facebook channel or network. And I want to thank you all for listening. I'd like to thank you, Santara, my co-host, and I'd like to thank everybody in the chat room and everybody who's called in today. And I will end it like I started it. Here we go.